Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on how AI is really built. We're going to follow the entire journey of an AI agent, from just a spark of an idea all the way to a powerful working tool. So, let's get into it.
I mean, you've probably asked yourself this, right? We see all these amazing AI tools pop up, but what's the actual nuts and bolts process of creating one? Well, today we're going to answer that by walking through the whole thing step by step as if we're the engineers building it ourselves.
Okay, so every great project needs a mission. Here's ours. We're going to build an AI agent that tackles a classic student problem, trying to figure out when the campus shuttle is actually going to show up. This is going to be our case study for the whole development lifecycle.
All right, let's dive into phase one, crafting the blueprint. Now, I know the temptation is to just jump right in and start coding, but trust me, in any serious engineering project, and especially with AI, the most important work happens long before you write a single line of code.
You've heard the old saying, measure twice, cut once, right? Well, that phrase perfectly captures what this first phase is all about. For our shuttle bus predictor, this means we are thinking through every little detail now, so we don't run into massive, project-killing problems later on.
So, this planning stage really boils down to 3 key steps. First up, problem identification. What's the actual issue? Simple. Students are late because the bus schedule is, let's just say, unreliable. Second, requirement analysis. What does success look like? Let's say the agent must predict arrival times with 95% accuracy and needs to update every 30 seconds. And third, environment analysis. Where will this thing live? It's going to need access to the university's bus GPS data, and it'll probably run on a cloud server.
And after all that homework, you get to the agent design. This is it. This is the architectural blueprint where we map out exactly how our agent is going to think. We'd pick our machine learning models, maybe a time series forecasting model, define the core logic, and figure out how it's going to handle all that GPS data. This document is literally our guide for the rest of the build.
So with our blueprint finalized, we can roll up our sleeves and get to section 2, the build and train phase. This is where all that theory becomes reality, and we actually start to bring our AI agent to life.
This phase really has 3 big parts. First, data collection. And I mean, we need a ton of data. Months, maybe even years of historical bus locations and timestamps. Then comes the development, where the software engineers get to work, using our blueprint to write all the code. And finally, you get to the most amazing part, training. This is where we feed all that historical data to our agent and let it learn all the hidden patterns of traffic, routes, and delays.
Now, here's a really cool technical choice we have to make. For our main goal, predicting arrival times, we'd use supervised learning. We have labeled data, right? We know a bus's location at a certain time led to a specific arrival time. But we could also use unsupervised learning to discover things we didn't even know to look for. Like maybe it finds these unofficial but super common spots where the bus always stops to pick up students. How cool is that?
Okay, our agent is coded, it's been trained, it's pretty smart. Time for section 3, launch, monitor, and evolve. Because, and this is super important, deploying an AI isn't the finish line. It's really just the beginning of its life out in the wild, unpredictable real world.
This final stretch has 4 huge stages. First, we do some brutal testing to make sure we're actually hitting that 95% accuracy goal we set. Then deployment. We push the button and launch the app for students to use. From that moment on, it's all about monitoring its performance in real time. How does it do when it's pouring rain or during the chaos of finals week? All that data we collect feeds right into that last critical stage, improvement.
And really, this is the most important step of them all, improvement. We're looking at user feedback, we're looking at performance data, and we're feeding it all right back into the development process. Maybe the campus builds a new road. Well, our agent needs to learn that. You see? This whole thing isn't a straight line. It's a continuous, never-ending loop of evolution.
So to wrap this whole journey up, let's hit the key takeaways. 1. Plan before you build. That blueprint is absolutely everything. 2. Data is the fuel. The quality and quantity of your data will make or break your AI. 3. Think of training as teaching. You're giving it the tools to find patterns you could never see on your own. 4. The launch is just the beginning, not the end. And finally, number 5, the cycle is continuous. A great AI is never really done.
And that leaves us with one last, kind of mind-bending question to think about. If an AI is designed from the ground up to constantly learn and adapt based on new data, can we ever really say that it's finished? It's a great question to chew on. Thanks for joining me today.